I am so excited to dive into another conversation with a certified Mastering the Brain Game coach, Chantel. I'm so grateful that you're here today and going to share your experience with Brain Game.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here.
So tell us, what was life like before the Brain Game? I love that everybody laughs when I ask that question.
I know, because we didn't prep for this interview, right? But you did say like you said a few questions you're going to ask me really fast, and that was one of them. And I was kind of like, can I even remember life pre-Brain Game? It feels like I'm a very visual person. So to answer that question, it feels like chaos is the word that comes to mind, but it feels like kind of like muddy. Where there's not a lot of clarity, like if you're looking at like mud, I can't really explain it other than it's thick, it's dense, it's you can't see through it. That's the clarity that comes in post Brain Game. I think it's a whole lot of like what's the term, like shooting fish in a barrel. I don't know, like I've never used that term in my life before, but like
we're gonna try now.
Either would never be shooting in a barrel, but like that's kind of what it was. It felt haphazard. It felt kind of like, well, I'll try this, and I'll try this, and then I'll try that, and then I'll sign up for that, and that's what. Does that answer your question? That's what it was.
It totally does. I get the visual of almost like quicksand, of like I'm gonna step over here, and then I'm flailing around, and it's not working, and now I'm stuck in the mud, and I can't get out, and that's what it feels like. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like this gray mud that's just like, and then I step in more gray mud, and then I'm like, well, let me get my hands in it, because maybe that's the thing.
Right? I use the term throwing spaghetti at the wall. It's the same idea of like, let's try this and see if this works. Right. And so what's life like after Brain Game? What was your biggest shift throughout Brain Game, and what's it like now on the other side?
Something that I reference a lot in my own promotion with my clients and just in who I am as a human is that I really have embodied this vibrational state of who I am. I've stepped into understanding that this, this physicality of my tangible body is the vessel through which my soul is having an experience. And like, I just dropped into that. So that's, I don't even know if there's a comparison. It's like taking, I want to say, for like, to make this make sense for someone that hasn't done Brain Game before, I think a lot of people understand the saying that you have to fill your cup up first or you're going to deplete. I think a lot of people understand what I used to say all the time before is the old airline saying that you have to put your oxygen mask on first, because what good are you passed out trying to put everyone else's oxygen mask on first? And I think so many people get that. They understand it. They logic, like that makes sense. But it's the hows. How do I possibly do that when the laundry has to get changed? When the kids have to get taken to soccer practice? When I have to get this project turned into my boss, or I am the boss and I have to get payroll done? How do I possibly do the reverse of that? Is what it feels like at first. Like, you're going to tell me to go sit and take a deep breath and feel my feelings, or maybe in cue or meditation, and that's going to be the thing that will move the envelope. And so, it's that kind of thing. I've embodied that. I've understood that it's the how-tos that is life post Brain Game. It's understanding that, if I do go sit underneath the tree, like this is I'm thinking of yesterday, I was like, my to-do list, I took a whole week off last moment. Within 12 hours, I decided I was going to take a week off. So I took a week off, came back, and then the to-do list, like the tangible to-dos is a week's long. And so I started to feel the overwhelm come up. And so I paused everything. I walked outside. I sat under my favorite tree. I took some deep breaths. I sat in meditation, ran some Q, came back in and like hammered out the to-do list that probably should have taken me another whole week to get done. And I did it in a few hours. So that's life post Brain Game, is understanding that the way that we were designed as humans, the way like our innate self is to feel peaceful and flowful and ease and like, I got this shit. that's post brain game.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Because I remember when Joy first said to me, if you just meditated, you'd make more money. And I went, what? What? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
But it's true, because if we get into the flow, then everything is easier.
Yeah. Well, everything is vibration, right? So the vibration you're moving at and lack of, I've got to get this done, is giving you more lack.
Exactly.
So when you shift your vibe, it's not like this hoity-toity super woo thing. It's a legit thing when you shift your vibe.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll say this too, because my, I'm thinking back, like pieces are coming back now to me, like pre-brain game. I was really drawn to it because it's all scientifically found.
Yeah.
Right. It was like cutting edge neuroscience. This is stuff I can like actually measure, right? This is like, it's science, it's 100% found. And so I just find, I think it's so ironic, like, oh, the irony, right? Because you know what I'm talking about. Oh, the irony that it was like, like, I want it proven. I want proven, like what I'm going to learn in this, like before I even knew I was going to teach it, is scientifically proven. Like, let me follow the proof.
Yeah.
Only to come to find out what I find out as I dive deeper into science, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. I love it. So tell us what inspired you to become a brain game coach?
I think it's like just that natural progression into the next. When you know what you know, how do you not share it?
Yeah. The law of teaching right there.
Teaching, absolutely. The universal law of teaching. And it's, one of the other things I do at A Beautiful Surprise is I teach Pilates and I host teacher training. And so the vast majority of people that go through the teacher training, they start as clients. Mm-hmm. And then it's this natural curiosity of, right, like, of how do I possibly know this and not share it, not be able to spread it. It's this natural inkling of like, yes, like you just said, the universal law of teaching, like it's in us. And we're meant to express it. We're meant to let it move through us in a new kind of way. And I also knew that if I taught it, I would deepen my understanding in it as well.
Yes, I love that. That's one of my favorite things about teaching it is every time you teach it, you take yourself to a whole nother level, peel off another layer of the onion.
Oh, yeah.
Every time. Yeah.
Oh,
I love it.
Yeah.
So you touched on this a little bit with Pilates, but I'm curious, what other modalities do you include in your work?
I just sent over my bio to you so I could include it in the, yeah. And I literally said that. I said in the bio, I said, I've got a lot of letters and certifications and documents and, decrees and all of that behind my name. But really it's this innate who I am, right? Just understanding and being able to tap back into my intuition, me as a channel, and as, what my mom called me as like growing up as a psychic, which I understand now is not necessarily a psychic, but just really understanding and tapping into my intuitive side. Mm-hmm. So, but as far as the modalities, if I guess we'll go there. I'm sitting in my brick and mortar of my Pilates studio. This is an office that I had built out in my Pilates studio. So I am a full Pilates studio. I'm a classical and contemporary studio located in a suburb of Salt Lake City, but I teach virtually to people all over the world through the beauty of, being mandated to shut in 2020, shut down and close up shop. But I've been teaching Pilates now for almost 19 years. So that's another like kind of faucet leg of what I do and I teach. Mastering the Brain Game, of course, universal laws, and I'm an advanced EFT practitioner. I'm a Reiki master. I'm a roster coach, which is connective tissue therapy. So it's manual manipulation, but again, I can coach someone how to readjust the scaffolding of their body virtually as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know.
I love that. Lots of tools in the toolbox for you to draw upon, right? Depending on what a client's needs are. Yeah. And that's the one thing I love about the Brain Game is that although the Brain Game is this standalone transformational journey that you can have a major change in your life with, as a coach with all of these other modalities, you can play with each of those tools within the Brain Game and make it your own and be able to share that wisdom with the world. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, this next round that I teach, it'll be my fourth round to teach. And I've decided to really bring the focus in on the physical body.
Mm-hmm.
So, it feels really good. And it so goes aligned with, because I have a lot of people who are Pilates clients, but have not like dabbled with me in this realm, this world.
Yeah.
And I overhear stuff all the time, right? Of like going to try this next diet or hire this next nutritionist, or I'm going to count my macros or my calories or make sure I get all my water in. There's that one program out there, like you have to drink so much water during the day. And it's just like, we're overriding what our body is actually asking us to do. So so every time it can be focused on something in particular like that, like let me manifest my physical body that I really desire, or something completely, I don't know, whatever the 180 to that is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. We've
Yeah.
got coaches who work with it, with relationships, with money, with your career, your business. You can take it anywhere. That's what I love.
Oh, that's the other thing I do also is I help people build businesses. I'll think of more as we're going along.
And you're an advanced numerologist as well.
Oh, that's right. I'm an advanced numerologist as well.
There's so many tools in the toolbox that you've forgotten which ones are there, and that's okay. That's okay.
I mean, yeah, Ace of Diamonds, because we're talking today's a Jack of Diamonds, but my Ace of Diamonds is my Pluto today. So I have all of these ideas like just sparking off everywhere. And yes, thank you for reminding me what I am.
I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit about what your experience was like in boot camp.
Well, again, speaking of numerology, I'm a ruling 7. And so if you throw me in the fire, I'm going to dance. Mm-hmm. So it worked well for me. It kind of was, and there you go. Now go do your thing, which I loved because it really spoke to the whole system, one, having been channeled, but also having the scientific undertone background to it. Yeah. So my experience in the boot camp was really good. It was different than anything else I had ever experienced, where I had the freedom to really do me, be me. But then I had you also really assisting, so I felt supported. Mm-hmm. I felt like I could always drop into your DMs, like I always do, your PMs, your DMs. And so having the backup of all of the systems in place as well, right? So you can go here and look for week 1, you can go here and look for week 2. So it's very systematic, but then also giving me the freedom when I go to teach, to be able to teach how I want to teach also.
I love that. My last guest on this show it's a business in a box without any of the cookie cutter crap.
Yes. Ooh, that's a good way of saying it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a business in a box, all tied up with this bow, right? And as soon as you start to pull on the ribbon to open the bow, it's just like there's more and there's more and there's more. It's another onion layer.
Right. I love that. And I think that's what's so important to me is, each of us has our own gifts and our own ways of sharing our wisdom with the world. And so by trying to stick you in this box and this cookie cutter and saying, teach it this way, you have to teach it exactly the same way as I do or as Joy does, it's not going to work, right? Because you have to be able to share your light and your wisdom, which is why we've designed it the way it is. Love it.
Yeah.
So what was the experience of teaching your very first session of BrainGAME?
Oh, terrifying. All of the what's the term, like the imposter syndrome coming up. Who am I to be teaching this? I haven't got everything figured out, right? Me in this mortal human suit. Who am I to be teaching this? Yeah, there definitely was a lot of imposter syndrome. I mean, you do a lot of great coaching around that, and I'd watched the videos. We talked about that before. But I think that like the image that's coming to mind right now for me is my little 10-year-old. There's a picture I was just looking at where we were at Disneyland last week, and she was like this.
Aww.
Her very first roller coaster to go on was the Incredicoaster, which is like, it's an incredible, huge roller coaster, but she's standing in line kind of like that. And it's like this equal parts terrified and equal parts excited And equal parts, she's going to be so grateful she did it once it's done. And
Mm.
maybe even during it. That's what it felt like the first time, is like, I'm doing this and I'm not, like, yeah, let me get buckled up because it's going to be a ride.
I love that so much. I can just picture that analogy. It's so good. So then you go through the 10 sessions of BrainGAME and you're teaching. What was it like teaching that last session?
Honestly, kind of bittersweet. There's always this feeling of like, I don't want to go. No one else wants to go. Give me more, right? Like, what's next?
Yeah.
But it feels also in the same way very complete. It feels like, like these stepping stones of, now I have the bridge and I can go again and I can go again and I can just keep looping the bridge in front of me and keep stepping and keep going. Yeah. So it felt very much like, what's next, in the best kind of way, where I think a lot of people before that might feel like what's next is really experiencing anxiety because they don't know what's next. And so the lower vibration of what that question implies can come in and feel and cause anxiousness, right? Where now they understand frequency and vibration and emotions, and they can understand what's next is what you create. But that's the thing too, is I think that I've done so many other programs before this, right? And so many courses and like teachings, and there's a lot of hype and you get really excited and you feel good because you're in the energy and proximity of all these other people that are also really wanting to awaken to their truths. But then the real world sets in, right? And you're kind of like, almost in a way, not even back to where you started, but worse off because you know better. It's hard to take that step. So I don't know. I guess that's kind of sums up that last week, where it feels very complete, yet I'm ready for more, and I'm ready for more. And the most beautiful kind of, I'm easing into it and I'm ready for the next thing that I'm able to receive. I'm able to receive the next for me.
I love that. So, I mean, as a BrainGAME coach, I know that you have a dream for where you want to take BrainGAME and what you see BrainGAME being in the world. So I'm curious, what is your dream for BrainGAME?
I always think of kind of what you shared with us when we first start the journey, is your goal is to get BrainGAME to become a household name. And it feels like that is so parallel to Pilates. When I started teaching, I guess it's been nearly 20 years ago now. It was 2003. It wasn't a household name. And it was something where I literally sat with the white pages in my lap and called around to different places to see if I could like come in, right? Or if someone would call me, and I would just try to get them down to the studio to just come feel this, come try this, come see what I'm talking about, because it can change your life. That's where it's not even a dream. I know it's happening. But to have Mastering the BrainGAME become a household name like Pilates has become, and so that it's grown and it's expanded so much that, like my kids, they know the feeling wheel. My little 8, she's 8 now, made a little, she used painter's tape, like the circle. She made a circle and she put it on her floor and she wrote sad spot for her to go to her sad spot when she's just going to go feel her feelings and let them move through her. So that's my dream for the BrainGAME, is that everyone understands that what they're expressing, what they're feeling is okay. And that it can be transmuted, it can be changed. And that you're not what you're feeling. So I think does that make sense? It feels like kind of esoteric out there, but I think that's my dream for the BrainGAME, is understanding that it can really evolve itself as it continues to grow and become a household name.
I love that so much. I love that so much. And I think it's so important, especially our children, that we learn to feel our feelings, that it's okay to feel our feelings, and to not feel our feelings when we have some time, but to feel our feelings first.
Right. After this email, like I've just got like 3 more emails to respond to, and then I'll go do it. No, ma'am. No, sir. You'll do
Do
it
it
right
now.
now. Yeah.
Do it.
This is
Yeah.
me talking to myself. Yeah.
I love that so much. And Chantel, thank you for coming on the show today. Thank you for sharing your wisdom as a brain game coach. And for anyone catching this live or on the replay, if you are interested in working with Chantel, you can grab her link below the show notes. And if you're interested in becoming a brain game coach, reach out to me and we'll connect.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chantel.